technically an admin or an assistant. That is going to include someone that's going to do your Popeyes that you're doing, your transaction from start to close, whether you use someone to do your contracts or not in the office. If you're doing that amount of business, that admin could be doing your contracts, inputting your listings, making sure all your timelines are met. They can be doing your social media. They could be doing anything you need them to do. Stopping and picking up your signs or your lock boxes, just to create more time for you to be lead genning and doing what you're good at doing. That person can be either, depending on what you're doing with them and depending if they're a licensed agent or not, there's a few things that they can do and they can't do depending on which way you go. So if you need help with that and knowing the note what they can't do if they're not licensed, come to me, because every admin that I've had so far has not been an agent. And then when they get to the point that they are interested in real estate and that they want to produce maybe more money, we get them licensed and they go on to another position. So I feel that in my business, an admin role has always been, getting someone knowledgeable about real estate and then moving them up. You never want to let them go. You want to put them where their talent is. So after you get your admin, and again, they can be a salary-based job or they could be per a transaction, depending on what you need help with. And just remember, what you need help with is going to be your time-consuming objects. So if you don't have to deal with any paperwork at all of your time that you're putting into real estate could be directly put towards lead genning. You could be going out, well, obviously not right now, but you can, when this is all over, be going out to social events and making your sphere bigger. You definitely want to utilize those to be able to utilize your time correctly. You don't want to do paperwork. You don't want to focus on your business that you already have. Yes, customer service is great, but if you train that admin to do what your expectations are, they could take care of that part for you. So then you would go to, so some studies say that you should have two. You should have a transaction coordinator, you should have a lead admin. Admin should do everything but deal with the transaction after they get it. I personally never took that route. What I did was I did the lead admin, and then I skipped to the next step to be able to get a showing agent. I believe in this type of business that I've seen. Everybody works differently in a group, but I'm going to tell you what I've learned and why I chose the things I chose. So the showing agent is going to be your next most important person. You need to make sure they're friendly. You need to make sure they're knowledgeable about loans. They obviously have to be licensed. They have to know what things are in a home. So you're going to spend most of your training on your showing agent, because they're going to be the ones to go ahead and walk through your clients. Even though it's not a big step, they're going to be the ones that meet that client maybe first or second, and they're going to have to establish that relationship that you're letting go of right now for this time being, because you're trying to focus on new clients. So what your job would be to do is to go ahead and lead gen, get all of the business. When you set them up for an appointment, they would go with your showing agent. Your showing agent can get paid several ways. You can decide to pay them a salary. They say don't go over 15% of what you're making a year. If that's suitable for their salary, then that's great. If not, maybe you need to do a little bit more production before you were to hire a showing agent. I can tell you that in my business, my showing agent is actually my sister. It kind of just happened like that, but it worked out perfectly for us because she's very outgoing. She was willing at the time to learn and me be able to train her how loans work and different things about the house. She is very outgoing, but she's not a paper person. So her talent is perfect for showing the houses. She creates the relationships with the people, she takes them out, and then she sends them off to me to do negotiations and get them going with the actual offer that they want to do. My person, makes per transaction. Every transaction she touches at all, she gets paid on. So for example, there's a different, you can also do whatever pay scale and how you want to do it. You can figure that out on your own. But what's worked best for me is if she goes to a house, if she takes, let's say person Linda is coming and she's a new buyer, I send Tiffany, my showing agent, out on the showing with Linda. And then the next showing she wants to do, she doesn't go with Tiffany. So I might have to take her, or maybe Tiffany's not available. So I take her to one. And then the next showing on a different house, she goes back with Tiffany. Well, if Tiffany took her to one or more houses, she gets paid no matter what, because the time that she's going to be spending versus the time that one person may fill in, it just needs to be rewarded, because she might show 10 houses versus I might just fill in for one, or someone on our team might fill in for one. There's many reasons that that could happen. She could be on vacation, sick. So we have to schedule for these things. At one time, I was getting very busy, that I was considering having 2 showing agents, one for daytime, and then one day on the weekend, a Saturday or a Sunday, and then the other person for nighttime, and then a Saturday or Sunday, one or the other, or they could rotate weekends so that they could have some time off. But we ended up taking off, and it just worked out that Tiffany wanted to work full time. So we haven't got to that level. But in my personal business, that will be the next step that we will be taking as soon as we get back into this. I mean, we're showing houses, but not as many as we were before this happened. So the showing agent is definitely one of the most important people. It's going to free up a lot of your time, and it is hard to overcome letting go of the control or letting go of those relationships you're building. But that showing agent has to be someone you trust to be able to help you build your team. Because if they make that relationship, there could be chances, you know, that they're going to be making those relationships, and they'll be calling them later. So my showing agent is someone that I trust fully, that's dedicated to the growth of my team, and she's out, you know, making the relationships for our team. And our team is basically a family, even if they're not family. So then that goes to the next part. Once you get down to where you can afford to pay an admin to do all your paperwork and a showing agent to do all your showings, your time is freed up. There should be no excuses for you at that point that you cannot lead gen all day, pretty much every day that you set your hours to. When that happens, your business, if you're good at lead genning, which you should definitely invest in yourself for that, because that's where you get the business, that will free up your time, and it will also be able to triple your business, because now you're working all day instead of running around doing showings and old business paperwork. That you could be getting, instead of 2 leads a day, you can be getting 10, you could be getting 20. I mean, depending on how you put your time into it wisely. But I mean, there's been days that I have I worked, my motto when I was not as big as I am now, was I would not leave that day until I got 1 lead. So I wouldn't leave the office until I got 1 lead. And by a lead, I mean somebody pre-approved or scheduled to see a showing. So that was how I made sure that I kept myself accountable. Now I have no excuse. So now I have to say, I can't leave here until I have 3 leads, because now I'm paying 2 people. So I have to make sure that we're tripling our leads. However, I honestly don't leave until I get 5 leads when I was at the office. So, you know, you don't want to limit yourself. You want to push to the max. Some people do goals of a week. So if you get 5 on Monday and you take a breather on Tuesday, or you still try on Tuesday but don't get any, it's okay, because at the end of the week, you still have to hit those numbers. So Friday, you might have to work extra hard if you weren't coming to your numbers, or you might be able to take a day off because you hit your numbers. Or if you're a go-getter, you could just keep going and make some goals for, the month. Let's do the month. So that gets into, now we're expanding our team. Now we have me, my showing agent, my admin. Now you want some more buyer's agents. Your buyer's that's no reason to get rid of your showing agent. Your buyer's agents are going to be doing exactly what you're going to be doing. You are going to be doing lead gen all day. That's all I want you to do. I want you to lead gen. I want you to touch your sphere. I want you to talk to all of your people, anyone you know. Keep in touch. Come from contribution. Don't just ask them, are you trying to buy a house? Make conversation. You can bring it up at the end, like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm still in business. Everything going on, we're still working. So if you do know someone that's looking to buy or sell, or somebody that wants to work on their credit right now, so that when all this, they get back to work, we can have them into a new house. You just want to touch them, talk to them, come into contribution, let them know you're still working, and you're a small business. You want to you want your friends to support your small business, so do the same to them. Try to help them, even if you can't pay for something. Share their post. There's a lot of people that sell different things, makeup and there's all kinds of stuff. But you can just say, hey, would you share one of my posts if I share one of yours? I'm not in the market for makeup right now, and you might not be for a house, but let's help each other. So just do that to kind of lead gen. However, when you get those buyers agents, they're going to be doing the same thing as you. They're going to be lead genning all day, every day, or they might go on their own showing. They go on their own showings, that's fine. But at some point, they're going to get to their max where they're taking on 10 leads and can't show that many houses that week. Or they start showing houses and they slow down on their lead gen. So the following week, it's that roller coaster of real estate that, they took the time off to show the people the houses, but now they have no leads coming in. So at that point, when they get that busy as a buyer's agent, you tell them you need to start utilizing the showing agent. So what they do is they lead gen. They do exactly the same thing. They schedule all the showings through the showing agent. The showing agent is on the road all day, every day pretty much. And you maximize their time also. So now you're funding them. They're funding you. You're funding your showing agent. They're funding your showing agent. There's also an admin fee. So they're funding the admin, and the admin is supporting the whole team. So you're not doing, at this point, you as a team leader are not doing showings. You're not doing paperwork. Right now, you're managing problems that may occur, and you're managing your lead genning, and then your agents. You have to help your agents, your buyer's agents. You have to help them reach their goals. You have to hold them accountable. You have to make sure they're hitting their goals so that they can feed their families. Because when they grow, you grow. And when you grow, they grow. There's always going to be an overflow somehow. So you're going to be helping them, and when they're helping you, it's reciprocal. So that's that. You're looking at you being solely the listing agent. Some teams work different. I know some teams, they allow listings and buyer's agents all in one. You have to see what works for you. There is a book. There's a lot of things. I was just listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They're basically saying, there's two mottos. You either don't put all your eggs in one basket, or you focus on one thing to make it super successful. So if you want, and listings are easier. Everyone knows listings are easier. But if you focus on listings and you focus on growing your team and managing your team and helping them get to their goals, they could be the ones out lead genning and do the buyer's agent for you. So it really depends on what you like to do, what your strong point is. If your strong point is not lead genning, let's say you're not that person that's going to go door knocking. You're not that person that's going to make those cold calls. Well, that's a shame, because this is a business, so we need it. But there is other solutions. There is an ISA, an inside sales agent. There's an OSA, an outside sales agent. What they could do for you at that point is you can either hire someone. There's companies that do it, that will call all your expireds, your sphere, your contacts, and try to get those leads for you. I found personally that it works so much better as a conversion rate when you do it yourself. It's one, less money. Two, it's more personable. So they're going to say, oh, my friend so-and-so just called me, and they need help in their business. Let me help them. But if an outside sales company, I'm not saying it doesn't work, because there's a lot of people that do it. But personally, I'm telling you how I feel that is my strong point. So I like doing that. I like, keeping in touch with people and reaching out and trying to help them help me. And so, but if you don't like it, there is other solutions. It's called an OSA, outside sales agent. You can find them on anywhere. I'm sure Randall has some people he can refer. But there's also an inside sales agent. They have to be licensed. you can teach them what you know to now utilize your team even more. And they can do all those cold callings, door knockings, and what they do, their sole job is to get leads. They're not, they may be to, everybody does it different. They might make them convert it and they assign them to their buyer's agents or the showing agent, whatever, how it may be. But how I was planning on doing this, our ISA would be somebody that I train, being in the office, working like a certain hour job. And then whatever hours, let's say they stop at 5 p.m., then all of the calls would go on a free-for-all for all of my buyer's agents. So if someone ends up picking one up at night, that might be just extra income that they can get. However, these leads that the ISA are getting assigned to the buyer's agents as well. We do 2 meetings. We did Tuesday and Thursday, and we kind of just followed up on all these leads, so we didn't lose any. It's really easy to lose leads if you're not holding everyone accountable for these leads. So you have to make sure you, as the team leader, really take that in consideration, because you'll be losing money if you don't follow up with them. So at this point, you have you, admin, showing agent, and buyer's agent. When I mean buyer's agents, you do not want to get too many if you cannot help them. You want to start out with one, make sure that they are doing at least what they expected to do. Once that comes and you hit those numbers and you help that person, you move on and you grab another one. You continue to help the first person, you add on the second person once you hit their needs. And I'm not saying you have to hand these people leads. I'm saying you're going to teach them how to fish so that they can get these leads. You're going to hold them accountable so that you can count how many they have and how many are they converting. Because you can hire anyone. That doesn't mean they have the talent to convert these leads. So you want to make sure you're doing a 30, 60, 90. It's a review technique that you bring them on, and after 30 days, you kind of review how they're doing. How many leads did you give them? How many did they convert? How many did they bring on themselves? And how many did they convert of those? You're going to go into the 60 days. You're going to make sure that they're following your policies. You're going to make sure that they're being consistent, because that's a really good thing that you need. That's something you look for on a team. You want to make sure that their models, their attitude and everything is not conflicting with your team, because that can knock off your team atmosphere, and that you don't want something like that to happen. You want to make sure they're ethical people, that they're fitting in with your team. I'm not saying that if their hobbies are different, you get rid of them. I'm saying just make sure that it doesn't break up anything that you have going on. Because when you work this hard to get a team, you have to work really hard to keep it. So anyway, so now you have buyer's agents. You got to make sure that you can feed them. The next step goes into getting, so you can now get a few other things. You can either focus, if your listings are in abundance, you can go ahead and hire a listing manager. What that listing manager is going to do is going to make sure that all of your marketing is done, that they are calling once or twice a week to make sure that they're happy, your sellers, to make sure you're giving back all the feedback from the showings, to make sure they don't need any assistance. Like if something breaks in their house, hey, we're giving you excellent customer service. You want us to call a repair company for you? They can come out on so-and-so date. You just want to make sure that you're paying so much attention to these sellers, because they want to sell their house. And if you didn't sell it, within the first week or so, then they want to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why is my house not selling? You want to make sure somebody's there to baby them and tell them, hey, we overpriced your house. We need a price reduction, or maybe we can do some things to spruce up your house to make it better at showings. Here's the feedback that we got. Let's review it together. Let's come up with some ideas. Here's our marketing plan. You want somebody to be there to be able to do that when you do not have the time. This is at the absolute max. When you're done, you have 50, 60 listings, whatever your max is personally. Everybody's is different. And you can't call all these people all day, because now it's taking time from your lead genning. So that's when you would hire a listing manager. Then there's another thing that you can do, is hire a lead manager. That would be somebody that at that point you would have an OSA and an ISA. You'd have somebody inside touching your sphere, all of your team sphere. And if they get that lead, it goes to that team member sphere. And then your OSA that's doing expireds, people you don't know. They're touching the people that you don't have a real relationship with. So if they call, it's just going to be some random cold call anyway. That lead manager would be making sure that everything's getting done, everybody's hitting their numbers. They'd be in charge of those two people, and then they'd be in charge of going and make sure they get converted by getting pre-approved and into one of the agents or the showing agent to get set up for appointments. And now this is a bigger level, so you're going to make sure that you're providing enough leads, that your team's getting enough leads on their own, and that you have enough listings to be able to handle all of these people. So just to let you know, I'm not here yet. This is what I'm looking towards. My personal level right now, I have the showing agent, the admin, a full-time buyer's agent, and then I have a few more that are coming on. But I'm still at the buyer's agent level. My next step is definitely going to be getting the OSA, the ISA, and getting somebody to manage those. And then I'm going to look into listing agents after that, because everybody works differently. Everybody's business. That's the best thing about real estate is there's no wrong way to do it. You don't have to follow these steps. You can take these steps and make them a little bit of your own. You don't want to do it too much backwards, because you want to get the most important things first. And I definitely believe, that showing agent is a really important one to free up your time. And that admin is really important, because they're going to be looking for every mistake, everything that could occur before it occurs. So if they do that properly and you hire the right person, you're not going to have that much time spending on trying to fix deals or trying to fix the problems, because you're already going to have found them before they occur. And that's really what you want to look in a good admin, is someone that's going to help your transaction go smoothly without taking your time up most of the time. So anyway, keep going through. There's going to be a few other things I had talked about. If you have a lead buyer's agent, that lead buyer's agent can then watch over. You can get 2 showing agents, like I said, depending on if there's a night shift, day shift, and maybe rotate weekends. You can go even further with getting your lead admin, a transaction coordinator. You can do the lead manager that's going to hire and watch over the OSA and the ISA. You can have a listing manager. And then the best part is you can have people under the listing manager as listing agents. Their job all day is to get listings. What do listings provide? They give you more buyers, and those buyers are going to feed your buyer's agents. And those buyer's agents are going to be happy because they are getting leads from them and then possibly getting referrals from those people. And they don't have to spend the time on the paperwork because we already have the admin. So I believe in hiring within when you can. So you have to kind of keep an eye on your people and their talent. And if they're providing you something that you just see, hey, we did a 30, 60, 90, and you're okay as a buyer's agent, but I see how you're handling these deals and calming these agents down. I really think that your talents would be good as a listing manager, because maybe that's just what they're good at. You have to kind of feel people out and do that 30, 60, 90 to really know where they fit best. If that's the case, then you switch them over to the listing and you go ahead and find another buyer's agent. You want to keep doing this until your business is the most profitable. At each level, you never want to go backwards. You always want to make sure you're making, well, not just making more, but you're doing either more units or, if you get the one wrong person, it's going to make your numbers dip. And you're going to have to look at that and find out who that person is. And you're either going to have to work harder on them. We have Monday meetings, so we sit down and we go over, hey, this is what you've done well. This is what you've lacked in. And it's not an emotional meeting. This is what it is. How do you think we could get better? Or how do you think that we could work together to make these things better? So you always want to do personal growth meetings where, even for yourself as a team leader, you want them to give you feedback. Don't get into stories, just, one sentence things. Have them write it down and hand it in. That way you're, just make sure everybody's on an understanding and be level-headed when you read these things, because there's some truth to them and they will help you grow as not only a person or a team leader, but as a business owner. And they will help you know what you have to work on, as well as everybody on your team, what they have to work on. And and you have to promise your people, not promise your people, but you have to, your people have to also know that there's growth for them. And when that means when they grow, you grow. So you may not have to be managing the team anymore. You might come to the next step where you get a team manager. And at that point, you can have a director of operations. They can look over your transaction coordinator and your listing manager, your lead buyer agent, who's going to look over your other buyer agents and your showing assistants, your lead manager, who's going to look over your inbound and outbound sales. And then the next level would be everything that I just said, plus the listing manager, plus your listing agents underneath that. Usually listings are a lot easier to handle. So that's why I say keep it to the last one, because listings, I mean, let's think about this. How many buyers can you handle personally with one person? Maybe 15. But how many, because they take time. If you don't have a showing agent, you have to go on these showings. You have to look up these houses. You have to be on the MLS every morning to see what new listings came up that may fit their needs. They're a little bit more needy, so you might only be able to do 15 per an agent. But the sellers, you could easily do maybe double. If you think about it and you set up your timing at, let's say Fridays for me were my follow-ups with my sellers. I will call my sellers. I will talk to them about what's going on, how many showings we had that week, what the feedback was. Is there any concerns that they have? Is there anything I see that they can do? How many calls? If you work a 9-to-5 job, if you treat this as a real job and you work 9 to 5, how many calls can you do between that 9 to 5? You can do a lot. 30 calls might take you 2 hours, depending on how talkative your people are. And if you, that's another thing for personal growth. If you work on how to get to the point quickly, but still make them satisfied after the call, you can shorten your calls. So you don't have to worry. And you could also do other things. You could do emails, you could do text messages, you could do all three. Just following up from our phone call. Here's what we went over. And then send it in a text message if they don't respond to the email. There's plenty of things you can do, but all these things could take 2 minutes per client. You could fit a lot of listing clients in. You can do if you have an admin, they could be doing at that time, if they're not, if you're not super busy, they could be fitting in some marketing for you. So as you're making those phone calls, they could be, producing these marketings. And not only that, but Remax has those automatic ones. So if you ask them to do a price reduction, you go into the MLS and you do that price reduction, they're going to send you a price reduction listing template for Facebook and Instagram immediately. So you don't have to worry about the admin for that part. You can just take what Remax is sending you for free and in a timely manner. I think I did 2 price reductions. I'm sure most of you know this, but I'm fairly new to Remax and was surprised when this happened to me. But when I did the listing change in the MLS, I think I got it, I'm not sure, but within the same time of me working. So it wasn't like a day later, or it wasn't like, I don't think it was instantly, but maybe like 25 minutes. It couldn't have been that long. Anyway, my point of that is that, these things are coming to you. Remax has already set it up, so it's easy for you to be able to get these marketing campaigns. They have plenty of other things that you can do, especially with the Photify. If any of you were in that last meeting with the technology, Remax is just top notch when it comes to technology. And, I'm new here, so I'm not trying to convince, everybody's already here. I'm not trying to convince anybody to come here. But it really is, it gives you all the tools that you need just to be able to simplify your life and your real estate needs. So anyway, my point of that was going back to, you're going to get these things instantly from Remax. The admin doesn't have to really focus on that, only if maybe you have a problem listing, but you can fit so many more in. Let's say you can do, maybe, 40 to 50 listings. You're not hiring a listing manager or another listing agent until you hit that mark. You also are the team leader. So if that's not something that you're strong in, is listings, then maybe put yourself in one of these other positions. You as a team leader, though, are definitely responsible for holding your people accountable. You are going to be the ones having those self-development meetings. You have to take that role. You can't let someone else be that person, even if it is an admin, because in my mindset, the admin, I also think a group self-development course or meeting is very good too, because there might be some things other people like admin for the paperwork side, she's going to see some things coming in. She might be able to, or he may be able to help you in that direction. Like, hey, when you're doing this, why don't you, get these buyer's agency signed? A lot of, I know you guys are all experienced, but there's some new agents that come in that have no idea what they are and how useful they can be. So anyway, group developments, one-on-one meetings, even if you're only doing them once a month or once every quarter, that's okay. That's still production. I mean, you have to see your people's needs. I'm not saying weekly meetings are for everybody. I do know that I have a lot of newer agents. So me personally, I have to pay attention to them. I have to work harder. I have to work every week with them because they're still in their learning stages. And I have to make sure that, things aren't going wrong and we keep our customer service and our name good. But if you have some strong people, that would be the way to go. Get somebody that's already working, but that you can double their income. Get those people. Get people that know what they're doing and put them in these positions and try to collaborate together. But you always got to remember that there's going to be one team lead, and you're going to have to set up a business plan that where you're going. But you're going to look at your strong points and your weak points, and you're going to know, let's see what this says. Okay. You're going to know where you need to go next. So it brings me to the last one. I'm just going to tell you a bit about this one. I mean, this is kind of like a, when you get to that point of doing an expansion business. And like I said, there's not many people on here. So if anyone wants personal help, I would be glad to kind of go over what your strengths and weaknesses are and tell you maybe your next step, or we can talk about how that's going to go. But your last one is going to be when you're ready to expand. You now have a really good business. You have people under you. You have a working team that if you stepped away for a week or two of vacation, that things are not going to fall apart. That's when you're ready to expand. Everyone's in different areas, but I'm in Cumberland County. Yep. Yeah. You're muted.
Well, before you go to the next section, could I ask you a couple questions about like the basics?
Yeah.
Or like, so I don't think everybody knows like your background, so could you tell us, like where you've come from and what you did, like getting into the real estate business and where you worked and then maybe a little bit about how you grew your team? Not more the specifics, but just kind of like,
yeah.
How many people were on your team and yep. How many transactions did they do?
So I'm going to try to sum this all up real quick, but right. I'm going to start from the beginning. So I got into real estate. I dropped out of vet school, got into real estate, had a baby. So I worked as a single agent 1 day a week. I did my first year, maybe 15 transactions, but I only worked 1 day a week for a few hours at the office. And I didn't, at that time, I had other things going on and other jobs. And then I decided, I like this. I'm going to get into it. I started full time, and I did. I hit. What's the first one? I got that award for Circle of Excellence.
Bronze.
Okay, bronze. So, and that was me starting late in the year because I had, like, when I had started, it was November. So the momentum was going. So I decided to, at the time, the broker I was with decided to put me and another person together. So we started a team. First of all, I have a little bit of background in business, but I never went to school for business. So it was all new to be a partner with someone. So we got together and we had all these ideas. And the first step that I will tell you about getting a team together is going to be make sure you have your systems, models, and what your expectations are. Because what happens is it's trial and error if you don't. And I did that. So it's put me back a little bit on my team. Our team was just me and this other guy, and we ended up getting 12 people on our team. And we were, you know, always doing something and then always making something better. So it was never stable, but it was, we were going. We did in November of 2018, we hit the Tri-County #1 in for units. And we were nobody. So for us to do that, when we got that award, everyone was making a big deal about it, and we were like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. So then we went even
So
harder.
was that all
And
out? Was that out of all Keller Williams agents at that time? Is that the trike, or was it?
the Tri-County, yep, that was from
Yeah.
every Keller Williams in
Okay.
the Tri-County, so Pennsylvania, Delaware. So we were all really excited when we had got that. Yeah, so I was at Keller Williams before. So we started to, look into other options, like, oh, how can we get bigger? How can we do this? And at that time, it was a crossroads. I decided that, few months later, I decided that, I literally loved my partner. We're still really good friends. But we decided to go ahead and split because I had different aspirations than he did, and he wanted different things. So at that time, I decided, okay, I'm going to rebrand as the Soul by Swink team, and I'm going to take this on my own and make sure I build my team. So we restarted, and it went from me to getting an admin, and then my showing agent, and I have a full-time buyer's agent. I have 2 people that signed agreements that are supposed to be coming. Well, they're waiting for fingerprinting and all that. And then I have 4 people in school that are also coming. So I do have a lot of newer agents. But at this point, at my business, like if we were going over this diagram, it's me, admin, showing agent, all buyer's agents. I have no listing agents, and I don't have my outside or my inside sales agents yet. I can say that when we were our business and doing everything, we took somebody from a foreclosure on their home to being able to fund their, not only get themselves out of foreclosure, but fund their whole family's salary for the year. So, and she was married and had kids, so I'm talking about the whole family. So we ended up taking her. She could have won Circle of Excellence Award. She when I left, she parted, but we took her from that to that. Now we have a few other ones that went from doing maybe no units to, Denixa might be on here. I can't see who's on here, but Denixa had no units for almost, I believe, a year. She was with Keller Williams, and then I ran into her and I said, "Hey, you're so sweet. Let's get together." And we had a meeting, and she joined my team. We just came over to Randall maybe a month ago, something about that. And she just got her first deal. So, I mean, even though we're with this pandemic and we're working remotely and on Zoom, she still got something. And I'll tell you what, her pipeline on her lead spreadsheet, she's got like 400 people on there. So it's just going to boom in a little while. I mean, I think when this is all over, a lot of people will be easier to get mortgages, and it'll just go crazy. Now,
So a question for you would be, so what makes a team member want to come work for you, or what can people on this webinar take away? Like how do they encourage or influence or attract, I guess would be the better word. How do they attract buyers agents and team members to come work for them, or how do you do it? Like, what do you offer, and do you, is there a commitment that they make to you?
So we never had a commitment before. We actually just did that this year, but we never had a commitment before because I believe that, if you don't want to be there, then I don't want you there. You can't have that atmosphere.
Right.
You have to be really positive. When I know that a lot of new agents, when they get their first deal that falls through, they're like ready to call it quits. You have to teach people. You have to be there to help and inspire and teach people that it's okay. It was just one deal. If you're spending 5 minutes or 50 minutes sulking on that lost deal, How many leads could you got in those, 5 to 50 minutes? And I think if somebody's there to help them get through the hard stuff, because real estate's hard and your first year is definitely the hardest. I think, you know, you being that person or having somebody like that to help you get through it, it's just going to make their life and real estate life so much easier. If you hold them accountable, I think that instead of having people that are worried about, I hear a lot of things that they don't want to quit their job and be real estate because it's so unsteady and it's a roller coaster. Well, if you have a good coach and you have somebody there to hold you accountable and make sure you're staying on track, you're not going to go a month without paying your bills. You're going to have that steady consistency. You're going to be on a log flume, or not a log flume, lazy river. You're not going to be on that roller coaster. So if you are a person that it is not consistent or not good at holding yourself accountable, I believe a team is for you. There are some fees, but when you do the math and I sit down with people and show them, they're making more money with me than they are by themselves, even with the fees. So, and we're all helping each other. And that's what, I mean, real estate, you see all these single agents and they're doing great, and they're only working themselves. But if you have multiple people that get along and that work really hard together, instead of one person just making the money, you can fund multiple families and you can continue to grow to make their income also rise with yours. So it's not anymore a competition. It's let's help each other. Let's help each other. Let's get to the top together. And I'll make sure, that you grow with me. It's not just the team lead. You got to make sure you don't make it all about yourself or you'll never make it as a team. You really have to be a team player. And I actually have a sheet that's going to tell you what kind of talent to look for. There's a question on here. Do you mind if I answer it or do you have
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it says, how did you do 50 transactions in 1 year? Did you advertise, market, know people? I actually did 78 units. I just did my numbers because we were on a team meeting by myself, my own units. And I did that to be honest, I did that by not leaving the office unless I got a pre-qualification that day or a listing. That was, my husband actually lost his job back in a year or so ago, and he started his own company. He's fine now. But when he lost his job, he was the breadwinner. So I was like, oh my goodness, my house and my kids, and how do I pay my bills? And I knew what people were saying about the roller coaster ride. So I was scared. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to get anywhere being this scared. And so I just risked it all. I went on my own and I said, this is what we're doing and who's in. And we kind of just went for it. And as long as you have consistency and you have that self-discipline, and then you can hold other people accountable just like yourself, you're going to be fine in real estate. I mean, even now with the market, we got 8 deals since this thing went on. 8. I have 8 under contract from that day. So there's people buying and there's investors that are going to buy, and guess what? They're going to flip them and they're going to sell them when the market gets a little bit better, and you're going to get that in too, as long as you made sure your customer service. I do believe that our whole team, and you can ask any of my team members this, is that this is my saying, and I'll say it a million times probably in every training you hear me, but you have to come from contribution. You can't just call them and be like, are you looking to buy or sell, or know anybody? Yeah, that's great and all, because you might get a lead from that, but ask them how you can help them. They're going to remember that. They're going to remember that when someone brings up real estate. So I really just believe, come from contribution, be good, genuine person and help other people, and they're going to do the same in return. Whether it comes natural or not, they're going to do it. So when you ask me like the marketing, I did Zillow for like a month that year, and I stopped it because I know that it takes a little bit longer than a month to realize how much you're making, but my numbers were in the hole with that. So when it comes to marketing, no, I really didn't market. I I took the time that the admin and my showing agent freed up time, and I literally went to every birthday party I was invited to. I went to every housewarming party, and I made sure I was there the whole time because guess what? Those people just they bought you this incredible house. They that's the realtor that sold this house to you. You're there. They're going to talk to you about real estate, and everyone's going to ask you, "How's the market?" And what's the rates like, and could I refinance my house? Will you help them do that? They'll sell their house eventually. They'll be there, especially with this thing. I mean, this is mean. This isn't coming from contribution, but especially with this thing, spending all this time with your husband, there's going to be so many divorces. You're going to have so much business after all this stuff is coming because I'm telling you, that's not even a joke. So I would just pay attention to those people you see complaining on Facebook and say, oh, is there anything I can help with? Because after this, a couple months later, things are going to happen. There's going to be babies born. So, they're going to want bigger houses. And one thing that I'm going to do, actually today, me and my team Randall sent me this thing that I was going to do with our team. I'll send it to you later. But also was something saying like, if you like your house, you could do a video and be like, I don't know about you, but this quarantine thing, when you have the right house, is a great thing because how many people, I don't have a pool. I wish I had a pool. But if you had a pool, I'd be like, I'd probably take a funny video and say, oh, this quarantine thing is a blast. Let me help you get to your dream home. So if this ever happens again in our lifetime, you'll be set, or just something like that. We made a couple funny videos. We made something, we did the Old Town Road and the Kiki riding. I don't know. These things my nephew told me about, but we did them and they got a lot of likes and stuff. And, it's funny, but people actually ask me like about real estate after them. I try to make sure that I post stuff on my personal page just every now and then about real estate, not too much, but just enough to remind people, hey, I'm in real estate. I'm not going anywhere. I follow up. Follow up is going to be 90% of your business. If you lose touch with people, I'm trying to get all set up with this first thing, but if you lose touch with people and you don't have a good follow-up system, you're losing probably all your business right there. I would say you don't have to spend that much money to make it in real estate. You can, but you don't have to. There's plenty of ways to be able to get that business. And I'm a paper person, so I had a composition book, and I still have it, but we're trying to go more digitally now with all this stuff going on. But I had a composition book, and I wrote every name that ever asked me about anything. And I would just follow up with it. And if they bought a house, I would rip them out of my composition book. If they told me they're not interested right now, I would highlight them and I would keep them on either a marketing campaign. I would just every now and then talk to them on Facebook or like their posts, because in every 2 to 3 months, I always followed up with those people that said they weren't looking anymore or they weren't ready, just to see if they still weren't or will. You never let them go because they're going to buy or sell eventually if they were considering it. Another thing, yep.
Just a question. You say that you have how many team members right now? You have what?
I have 3 on.
3 right now, and then you have
4, I'm sorry.
2 more that are getting licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many more that are going to school?
I have 4 in an online school right now.
In an online school right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that, that's like 9 people or something like that. That's a lot of people, right? Some people, may ask the question, where did you find them? Like, did they just kind of pop out of the ground saying, I want to be in real estate? Or, how do you cultivate those folks?
So, we put out an ad last year for a new admin at that time. And I got maybe 40 people. And I went through, I took 2 days out and just went through interview after interview. And that's the thing. It's hard to really know who fits where. However, out of Danielle, that's going to be joining my team, was one of them that interviewed. Just because she didn't get the job, I still stayed in touch, and my sister stayed in touch, and we talked to her about, maybe just coming on being an agent, or now we're moving our admin to an agent. So now she's going to be taking the admin's job. And then eventually we're going to do the same for her and get her build up with her pipeline going so that she can now become just a full-time agent instead of the hardship time too. You got to think about that, like people jumping from a job. to nothing because, you know, real estate takes at least 30 days to close normally. So we're going to put her in that position, add up her pipeline, get her in the admin position, and then switch her over.
So you ran an ad on what, like
Facebook.
a
I
Facebook
just asked
ad?
people to share. I said, can you please share this for me? I'm really looking for somebody. That was the one person I got. A couple of them actually reached out to me just asking about real estate. Some of them I sold their houses to. You know, there's a lot of people too that you got to be careful. They'll go through school and then they may not be as serious or pass the test or those kind of things. So you got to be don't give up on those people, but you also got to remember that real estate is a self-discipline thing, and if they can't get themselves to go to the school or pass the test, I mean, how much time are you going to invest in those people if they're not those? You need an entrepreneur. You need someone, a go-getter attitude. So you got to really look for talent too. You can't just take everybody. I mean, my team would be like 80 people right now if I took everybody that said they were going to come or going to go through school. I mean, the people that went through school now are all going to be full-time agents. They're not going to be part-time. We have a part-time person on our team, and we did before, and they're not bad to have. I mean, they bring different values, especially if you have a teacher. That's great because she can take your material. We had a teacher on our team. She could take our material, and make it into a class training, and she could teach it, even though it was my stuff that I was trying to teach. But that also freed up my time. That freed up my time to still lead gen and recruit. I will say that I never pursued recruiting until December. And when we did it in December, we got 8 people. But again, you have to make sure they're going to go through school. You're going to have to make sure that they're willing to quit their job because, you know, it is a big risk in their mind. But if you can't vision what's going to become of this job as a career, then they're always going to be, I don't know how to say this any other way, but like half-assed because they're never going to put their all into real estate. And you have to, if you're going to make a career out of it. You can definitely get by with being a part-time agent, but being a part-time agent and being someone that only does it halfway is totally different things. You could be a part-time agent, be a teacher, and be lead genning while you're on lunch break. That's still successful. You can still do it. But you just have to get their mentality. So real quick too, there's like this thing that I had printed out a while ago when we were doing our 30, 60, 90 reviews. And it says talent versus non-talent. And I always said, I want you to put yourself in each position and highlight. I didn't show them what was non-talent or what was talent. I just showed them this chart and I asked them, I don't know if you can see it, but I just asked them to highlight which boxes you think you are. And this was a self-development test that we had. So for one, it says, do you bring problems or do you find solutions? And then number 2 was, do you fulfill your needs and ends? And it ends up giving you back pieces, like to me. Like, do you bring me things that, like, for example, like, do you start something and then don't finish it and ask me to help? Or do you finish the whole project? Do you need somebody to push you? Or do you push the team? And these kind of things like are questions because one of them is non-talent. One of them that brings you problems. One of them that makes you finish all of their stuff. One of them that requires a lot of pushing. That's not self-motivated. There's other questions on here, but I had them, I erased the top that said talent or non-talent, and I wanted them to see where they were at. And then I revealed that this is talent and this is non-talent. Which ones did you highlight that are in the non-talent? And it doesn't matter if you have some, everyone has their flaws, but let's take them and let's now work on them. Like, for example, the one that you don't finish what you start and you need help finishing it. Is it something that you can give to the admin that is something related to your, like you would just take each one of these and you would pick them apart and help them, guide them to how to fix it. But for that one, it's specifically, you know, is this something with the deal? Maybe you should give up a little control and let the admin do it because that's what they're trained to do. About the pushing, like I don't expect someone to come on that doesn't need pushing. I think everyone in real estate needs help, needs that accountability. Look at these top top producers. I mean, there's people doing so much production, and they need coaches. I mean, you don't need, like, you may not need a coach every day, but you might need Randall. Like, Randall just put me in my place yesterday and I'm already on it. But I mean, you just might need that little inch to go a mile with it. I mean, not everybody can just wake up and be like, I need 5 leads today. Every day of your life, there's going to be some hard times that you need somebody. And I'll tell you right now that even though I'm the team lead, we have this daily thread. It's like a text message for our team. And some mornings I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this today. And they'll text and they'll be all amped about it. And I'm like, all right, I'm back in the game. So just that helps. I mean, teams are about helping each other. It just sounds corny, but it's true, because sometimes you just can't do it by yourself. And I'm not saying I can't do it by myself, because I did, but I can tell you that I'm 918% more productive with a team than I was by myself. It's just good to have good people around you. And I will tell you, though, if you get one bad person that's messing up your team, it's going to slow you down. So you got to be careful of those leeches. And you can still help them. You can still help them become a good agent, but just don't let them on the team, because it's going to mess up your team atmosphere and it's going to slow all your rest of you down.
That sounds great. Any other questions, guys?
Even if it's about yourself, I mean, I'm willing to help anybody get to the next step. I know that we're all in different areas, so it's not like crazy. So I'll help you if I can.
Well, Tina, I think this was like very enlightening. You got a lot of great information, and obviously you're doing very well at holding your folks accountable and helping them get to that next level. So, you should be proud of that. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody for sharing the information with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I look forward to.
Thank you.
Oh, there's some thank yous going on. All right.
But seriously, if anyone wants to stay on afterwards and get to the next level, I'm here to help.
Or you guys could go offline and go directly, right? Too, right?
Yep. Or you can text me. I'll put my number in this comment too, because I'm willing to help.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all for listening.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
All
See
righty.
you tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Happy hour.
I'm going to break open a nice bottle of wine tomorrow. Maybe a nice Merlot for our happy hour.
I'll do Merlot too.
Okay.
See you, everybody.
All righty. See you.
All right. Thank you.